we will proceed to the final lap of the webinar, which is the question and answer session. Do we have any participant that wish to ask any question? While we wait for participants to indicate if they have any question, Oikachi, do we have any question?
Okay, yes, we have one for the trademark registrar. I hope he's still here. And then the prof from my side. The other questions, they've basically be taken by other speakers. And because of our time, it's better we move on. Mr. Registrar, sir.
I'm with you.
All right, sir. Sir, based on what we've learned today, we are even now more aware that there is a synergy between your office and the NAFDAC. So, but while the professor was talking, excuse me, sir, could you please check your background? The echoes there.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So, sir, I was talking about your partnership with NAFDAC. In line with what Professor discussed, there are other agencies, there are other MDAs. I'm sure the Trademark Registry, based on what we have learned today, is meant to be partnering with. So basically the question is, what can be done to reach out to these other agencies, for them to realize the role your registry plays in the protection of intellectual property, so as to avoid conflicts of interest, and for the growth of the nation in particular, in line of with the ease of doing business, because anytime there is conflict, money is spent either to settle the matter and or otherwise, just like somebody mentioned as a concluding remark. So, sir, what other agencies are you looking out to partner with your registry? That will be the first question.
Okay. Do we take the questions, or I should go ahead and respond?
On the second part, well, the second part is just more or less to appreciate you for your time, that of your team members. We really appreciate you've given us so much. You have over 100 persons listening to this webinar at the moment. Perhaps somebody here is a stakeholder or is connected to do one or two things that would enhance your productivity in your registry. What are those things that are currently the challenges of the registry? It could be in terms of staff welfare, or in terms of your productivity that could enhance your service delivery. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. The first question is, we have to face a reality. The reality is that Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. It has also the biggest market. And also, with the African Continental Free Trade Area, Nigeria is now joining the African Common Market. The African Union is slowly coming to reality, having one common single market. So Nigeria must play its role as a leader in Africa, and that cannot be in words alone. Various speakers here have mentioned what the registry used to be in the past. In our quest to put the registry in the right threshold, we organize ourselves and challenge ourselves that we must do the needful in order to address the delays and inefficiencies that we have had over the years. We are able today to beat our chest and say we have cleared all backlogs in whatever area of our operations, whether it is search, whether it is examination, whether it is publication of journals, whether it is in opposition or in issuance of certificate. Now, beyond that, we have also taken to management for consideration the need to establish a greater collaboration between ministries, departments, and agencies of government dealing with intellectual property. And what we put before the management of the ministry is the idea of having an IP policy and strategy for the nation. Now, even before that comes to reality, we have already commenced interagency relationship. We have visited NAFDAC, we are in contact with SON, We are reaching out to the Nigerian Competition and Consumer Protection Council, and we are reaching out to NOTAP and various other departments and agencies of government. And in the next few months, the Permanent Secretary will be leading this interagency collaboration to other ministries and departments and agencies outside the Ministry of Trade and Investment. If you apply for any NAFDAC certification for either food or drug, the first question NAFDAC will ask is, where is the evidence of trademark registration? This has gone a long way in enhancing and creating awareness on trademarks registration. And whenever NAFDAC is holding any interactive session on public awareness and sensitization, they ensure that they provide a room where trademarks will come and talk about trademarks. Even during the COVID-19, I have had about 2 to 3 webinars with the DG, NAFDAC, and on issues connected with the trademark registration. We intend to really enhance this collaboration with other various agencies. Now, the COVID-19, as the speakers here have noted, has brought about also the need for departments and agencies of government to collaborate, because no longer will things be done in the normal manner that they have been done before. So agencies are going online. Automation is now the in thing, and this even makes it easier to interact and work together with various agencies of government. We have put this at our front burner. I can assure you that we have gotten the endorsement of the management to ensure full automation of the operations of the registry, which will mean even greater and more efficiency in terms of handling of IP administration in the country. On the second part of the question,
yes, sir.
On the second part of the question, let me mention a statement made by a one-time Director General of WIPO, Dr. Kamil Idris. He said, on the potential of intellectual property for economic development, for a nation like Nigeria, it is far more important than Nigeria's oil wealth. So IP is the in thing, is the new currency, far more important than oil. This statement was made by a Director General of World Intellectual Property Organization after visiting our NIPRI, the Nigerian Pharmaceutical Research and Development Institute, the VOM, National Animal Veterinary Research Institute, and our Space Research Institute here in Abuja. And looking at the traditional medicine, geographical indications, so many other areas of IP that are yet uncovered by this country, he said the potentials are just too much for this country. So the potential is there, which you and me can help to uncover. I will want to also say, for the benefit of IP practitioners who may be interested in this subject, that the WIPO has a distance learning program. This distance learning program, some of them are free, some of them are at a fee. For the young lawyers, we intend to start a program of collaboration with the WIPO Worldwide Academy, whereby through our Technology and Innovation Support Center, we can register as many new lawyers and young lawyers as possible so that they get this training free of charge. If you are interested, kindly indicate interest through the Nigerian Bar Association, the Unity Bar, and through your committee so that we can sit down and fashion this out. The WIPO also have professional development programs. These are development programs that gives training to young professionals, and they are free of charge. Some of them are even sponsored by WIPO, although some also will attract fee payments. And on top of that also, they have a master's program in Africa. We have the African University in Mutare, Zimbabwe. We have the Turin University in Turin. I have so many across the world that people can apply for and they will get training. And some of these master's programs are also sponsored. Now, there are so many advantages there that we can take leverage on, and we call on young lawyers to take advantage of that, and also the old ones who want to enrich their experience and also be professional in the IP field to take advantage of those courses. And as a registry, we'll do all we can to support whoever is interested when it comes to us for assistance. Let me stop here.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Registrar. Prof, I hope you're still there. Prof, the next question goes to you.
Okay.
Prof, Professor, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so very much, ma'am. So many of us look forward to seeing you in a bigger office whereby you can impact your knowledge in Nigeria. We've seen what you've done for the continent. We hope you can bring that expertise to our country directly. So Ma, here's the question, or rather let me relate it to something. As an undergraduate, I didn't have opportunity of taking intellectual property in my university. It was an elective, it wasn't mandatory. So being ignorant of what it was or where I would eventually work, I didn't take intellectual property. So I didn't know about it until I joined the registry. I joined the department. So, and I know there's so many young lawyers out there, even those that are not young in the profession, they barely know a thing or two of about intellectual property. And I think this is due to the fact that we don't have IP at the grassroots. So ma'am, as somebody in that sector, what would you advise the nation, Nigeria? Do you think is important for us to go to the grassroots from primary school, secondary school, and start teaching IP so that we can make Nigeria an IP-enabled state? Thank you, ma'am. The question.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think this is very critical. We definitely need to develop and inculcate an attitude of respect for intellectual property, not when we are already old and formed, but right from childhood. And so for some time, I'm aware that efforts were being made to actually start up intellectual property clubs in secondary schools. I know that here at the university, for example, here at the university, we have our IP club, populated not just by our IP law students, but we also try to reach out to the larger community, you know, to draw on students from faculties that are involved in generation of IP, like the sciences and so on and so forth. And we ensure that at a minimum, every year, either through the IP classes or the IP club or both, we have at a minimum one program that reaches out to the larger university community. And I'm happy to say that there is much more awareness these days. For example, we have at the university, we have of Lagos, and I know that also holds true for many other universities. There's the intellectual property policy, the university intellectual property policy, and also a dedicated office. Here we call it the Research and Innovation Office that helps to foster the needed awareness and collaboration, you know, to take the IP process forward. So we don't just continue to generate, you know, research outputs which gather dust on the shelves, but rather we work with our students, especially graduate students, staff members and others who are involved in IP generation, you know, to take it forward to the next process, to the next stage, secure, appropriate means of protection. And here we are grateful to the registry. They've been working with us and supporting us. And I believe this is also being done in some other universities. I know some colleagues and others who took some of the training courses, at Zimbabwe. We started, that program was started in, I think, 2008. And interestingly, it's not just open to lawyers, it's open to all players in the IP field. So WIPO used to sponsor students to go to US institutions. I benefited from that. I think early in the 90s, I started teaching here in 92. And then at some point, I got a WIPO scholarship, went to the US, but later on it was decided that, oh, the money you use to train one person in the US can be used to train a lot more in Africa. So the program was started in collaboration with Aripo at Africa University, Mutare, Zimbabwe. And I was also one of those who, pioneered the teaching of IP there. So we have some of our products, some colleagues who have come from Nigeria and other parts of Africa, manning IP offices now. We have them in Ife, in some of the industrial research centers and so on. So that is ongoing already. And I don't know, I think it may be premature to disclose that, now that we have a Nigerian WIPO office, more efforts are being made to start some collaborative short courses for IP professionals, lawyers, and others that are involved in intellectual property generation, management, enforcement, and so on and so forth. I also know that the Copyright Commission has its Copyright Institute. They also do some form of training. The registry is also collaborating, with WIPO and all that. And there are so many programs. UNILAG, by God's grace, is also starting something soon. And, we would put out the notice there. So a lot is going on. Of course, more needs to be done, but I think we've started, at least we've put our hands to the plow now, no going back. For the younger ones in secondary schools, yes, definitely, they need a lot of awareness, so that, because it starts from, not seeing anything wrong with photocopying whole books, whole materials of others, and so on. So it's important to inculcate in them as early as possible the culture of respect for intellectual property. So I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I hope that we'll continue to take the process forward beyond what we have now. Have I answered the question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so very much, Prof. We appreciate you. Thank you to all the speakers so far. We really appreciate you all. And to all the participants, we are glad you stayed with us to this very point. We just urge you to stay on a little bit further for questions from the participants. Mr. Noah, are you there?
Yes, thank you so very much. I think we have stayed long enough. I think we'll just take one question. I think Benjamin, your hand has been raised for a while now. If you are still online, please, you can ask your question now. While we wait for him to... Okay, please go ahead, ask your...
Good afternoon. Thank you for your opportunity. Actually, my question goes as to
Benjamin. It's like your network.
Please, I think it's better they type out the questions and we'll just read it out. Perhaps if you look at the chats, some people already dropped questions. We want to take one or two from there.
Okay, one of the questions we have is, what is the online platform for conducting searches? And I think the online platform has been provided.
Yes.
Somebody also asked, can we do it physically? Somebody also asked, individual accreditation on the website, is it allowed? Someone also asked, what is the timeline for publication? That is it automatic? Now, what are the step-by-step procedures for publication? I think most of the questions have already been answered. I don't know whether Mr. Mohammed is around, or probably Mr. Banjo will want to say one or two things about the questions, but I think they've all been answered.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is Barrister Sadiq on the line again.
Okay.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Well, quickly, I just want to respond to one of the questions that seems to be asking what is the timeline for publication or something like that. Yeah, well, just like the registrar of Trademark did explain, before now, it has always been a Herculean task getting marks applied, published in the journal. But now we can beat our chest averagely, let's say in a year. We have at least at the minimum up to four publications at the minimum. And essentially, the idea is at least we do publication quarterly. And when you look at it, a lot of marks applied are normally accommodated, because averagely, I think each volume of the publication accommodates as much as, I think, over 500 applications or so. So as much, there's no reason somebody will apply for a mark and have to stay for, let's say, close to 4 months without at least one publication coming out. That is the rate at which we are going at the registry at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so very much, Mr. Sadiq. Before you go, there's a question from Gloria. She's asking, is there any means to know when the journals are going to be published? Is there any timeline? How do we know when they're going to publish? I hope you can really take that question for us.
Well, the truth is that, you know, under normal circumstances, aside from issue of we publishing journal quarterly, if we have the funds, we don't mind even publishing, even if it is every after two months, considering the volume of applications we normally receive at the registry. But unfortunately, and that is one area, if I remember very well, when Onyekachi was more or less asking for the intervention of the registrar, particularly with regards to some of the challenges of which I just drew his attention that maybe he forgot to mention that very important point. Unfortunately, whatever money we collect, not even 1 naira, is plowed back to the registry for purpose of improving its services. And these are some of the challenges we're having. As I speak to you, there are, for instance, if you look at the opposition unit, there are lots of objections received that ordinary file jackets to be open for the matters is even a problem. And it's unfortunate, really. And that's why we always expect, at least as much as possible, for those of you that may have the privilege of even visiting the registry physically, so that you come see the kind of environment we're operating in. We're doing our best. Thank you.
I think, let me quickly add to what Malan Sadiq has mentioned. First, to answer the question, yes, we do come out with notices whenever we publish a journal. And the notices are placed around the offices and also on all the social media windows where IP relates to. So a notice always comes out. It informs you the date that the journal is coming out and inviting you to buy a copy of the journal. On the issue of challenges, it's true, my attention has been drawn to that question, that what are the challenges facing the registry? There are quite many, but to be honest with you, you can see the gradual improvement of situation in the registry, as some of you have already noticed in the journal publication and other aspects of the registry. I want to state that for the first time, we have a lawyer as a minister. We have a doctor, medical doctor as permanent secretary. So this is a ministry that is headed by professionals who knows and understands the importance of intellectual property, particularly in an economy like Nigeria. Already there is provision in the 2021 budget to address some of these key issues. Already the minister, with the support of the permanent secretary, is pushing the accountant general for the retention of 20% of our revenue in order to improve the operations of the registry. And we are receiving commendation from various stakeholders inside the country, the Intellectual Property Law Association of Nigeria, for example, the NBA business section of the bar, where I serve as the second vice chair, the International Trademark Association, the World Intellectual Property Organization, all the milestones that we have achieved and are being recognized, we are receiving commendations on them. But that does not to say that we do not have challenges. Challenges of training is there. We need to, as we are recruiting more lawyers, we need to provide them with the requisite training. We need to improve the quality of our examiners. The officers who are in charge of opposition need to be properly equipped in order to give a sound judgment and rulings from the trademarks registry. On top of that, we need to have a unified industrial property commission. The IPCOM will provide an umbrella for industrial property in Nigeria. And we have been working with management concerning that. We have a draft law in place, which will very soon go to the Federal Executive Council for consideration. Again, very importantly, Nigeria as a nation needs to have an IP policy and strategy. We cannot operate an IP system without an IP policy. This, I have used every opportunity and I've canvassed through all my contacts that we must come together as a body to struggle for this country to have an IP policy and strategy. Because it is that IP policy and strategy that will link the IP system with our education, with our industry, with our health, with our food, with whatever aspects of day-to-day life and the economy that we want to see improve, that we want to see Nigeria competing with other nations on. Unless we have that in place, we are still not there. And we pray that very soon we will have one in place. I thank you very much again for the opportunity.
Thank you so very much for your time, Dr. Adamu. We are indeed privileged to have you all through the webinar. I think at this point, I think it is a convenient time to close the webinar. But before I do that, I want to specially thank all the speakers. We deeply appreciate the chairman of the branch for the golden opportunity that she has given us to be able to serve. We deeply appreciate Dr. Adamu. We deeply appreciate Mohammed Sadiq. We especially appreciate Mr. Ogunbanjo Temitokbe. We thank Professor Oyewumi. We thank Mr. Ogunmiju. And we thank Max Gongbe. You are wonderful. We thank Rita Chinda. We thank you so very much. We thank all the participants. At the peak of the webinar, we have over 115 people who joined from all over the world. And I especially recognize Mr. Hada Shofi, who is a distinguished IP lawyer from India. We have Mr. Israel Usman, who is a senior member of Abuja branch. We have Daniel Dindam from Alukwan Oyebode. We have Beverly Agbakuba, an IP and sport lawyer. We had Professor Tahir Maman, the VC of Bayes University. We had Dr. Peter Duru. We had Joke Aliu from Alukwan Oyebode. We have Rene Unweje from Uganda. We had Steve Erile, senior lawyer from Abuja. We have Emmanuel Uluwabi, another senior lawyer from Abuja branch. We have Mr. Sheung Olokiogun, a senior lawyer from Abuja branch. We have Mohamed Umar. We had Bolaji Gafar, all senior members of Abuja branch. We all thank all participants and so many others that I cannot mention their name now. If you have registered with your correct email, we will contact you on how to receive your certificate of attendance and participation in this webinar. We're indeed very grateful. I will now hand over to, I appreciate Oyekachi as well, the co-moderator. You have been so wonderful. I'll hand over to the secretary of the committee for the vote of thanks and the closing remark, after which the webinar will come to a close. Thank you so much. Adedayo Mustafa, secretary of the Interagency committee, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, the Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, seniors and colleagues. It has been a great afternoon. And wow, I am proud to be a member of the Nigerian Bar Association Interagency Committee. And this afternoon has been a great one. I want to thank once more the Registrar of Trademarks, Dr. Shafiu Adamu. He has espoused the importance of having an IP policy, and he has urged Nigeria to implement one, which I also agree with him. I want to also thank the Principal Assistant Registrar, Mr. Mohammed Sadiq Yusuf, for quite an insightful knowledge as regards trademarks in Nigeria. I thank also Mr. Mobayonle for his quite interesting presentation. Also, big thanks to Professor Adejoke Oyewumi, educative aspect as a teacher. Adenero, Principal Assistant Registrar at the Trademark Registry, for his inputs too. We also thank the moderators, Mr. Noah Ajare, who is the chairman of the committee, and our friends, Oyekachi and Yede Oyebu, for being solid this afternoon. Thank you very much. We thank the MPA chairman for giving us the opportunity to have a webinar of this nature and supporting the committee to achieve such a feat. We are grateful to the NBA, the executive committee of the NBA, and we are also grateful for this webinar without thanking the participants, because I want to thank, on behalf of the committee, everyone that tuned in to join us this afternoon, about 250 plus individuals. We say a very big thank you to every one of us, and we are grateful. And we'll invite you for subsequent webinars, interesting webinars, and we are very grateful to you. God bless the Nigerian Bar Association. God bless the Trademark Registry, all their staff, and God bless Nigeria too. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think on that note, the webinar has come to a close. We deeply appreciate you all. Very beautiful. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much and God bless.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And please look out for our future webinars. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Alex.